and welcome back to another Warframe video. So today we got the silent but deadly Grendel loadout. With this combination of gear and frame, you will be able to be basically permanent invisible in your mission while also doing Steel Path AoE damage nuking and just being really strong in general. You can like pretty much one-shot acolytes with this build and a ton of other stuff too. So let's get right into it. But before we do, make sure to sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, everything from build videos, news videos, discussion videos, and all that kind of stuff. You're in the right place for Warframe content. Yeah, I did think the Sicarus was going to give you bug fix today to cover that hot fix, but there is no Sicarus bug fix today, so we're going over this build instead. And just like the previous build videos on this update, it will be a full loadout guide with a companion and frames. Let's go right into it. Alright, so the combination of items we're using today, the new Gastro Augment for Grendel, providing basically triple bounces with his Regurgitate attack. And the Huras Kubrow. Buck is back, and he's more OP than ever. He's got some extremely powerful claws that can kill demolyst and acolytes and exhibists and all the stuff you'd encounter on the Steel Path. Our dog actually does better against demolyst than we do with this loadout, so that's pretty funny. Alright, so let's start her up with the first part with Grendel here. We're going to be having the Gastro Augment. Now, what the Gastro Augment does is it makes Grendel's Forked Ability Regurgitate cause additional bounces, and in those bounces, the ability is going to give you gas procs as well. Now, the Regurgitate attack from Grendel usually does a percentage health, toxin proc, and armor strip, and it still keeps those properties, but yeah, we get an extra gas proc on top of it too, which helps against AoE ad clear. Alright, so here we are with the Grendel build of the sim here, and here's the new augment. So the Regurgitate will bounce 3 times and cause a gas proc, lasting the gas claw will last 8 seconds. With the max rank augment. So it has a base damage of 250, it goes up to 480 with this amount of power strength, and we can also use roar to increase that gas proc to be even stronger. And like I said, Grendel does have a percentage health toxin proc on this ability, but it isn't required, like, it'd be pretty close to the enemy basically. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much, although that is what we are relying on to an extent here. Now, we sort this in practice. We're going to be using the ability to eat. We're going to use the first ability to eat an enemy. And then we're going to use the second ability to get Nourish active. We use Roar to get more damage than we use the Bark, and they're dead. That's basically what you can expect with this build, is you just cast Roar, Regurgitate, and they're dead. Just do that over and over again. That is literally how difficult the build is. It's not really a whole lot to go over. Now, let's talk about all the gear items, how we're staying perma and viz and all that stuff, too. That's probably a little bit more important than just, like, look at how good the damage is, because the damage is very good. Alright, and as you can see, the dogs take care of the enemies very quick if we are going to be using the same builds as in this video. Alright, so for Grendel, we've got a bunch of power strength shards on him to increase the roar percentage. I wanted to try out the green toxin proc increasing ones for his percentage health toxin proc, but since the Gastro Augment does gas procs, I decided it'd be better value to use the roar increasing like power strength shards. Although I did not really test the green ones out. Maybe someone else should go test that and see how it is. But I just didn't want to waste my shards on. They're already on Saren. And for the build, we have a ton of range to make those Regurgitate's gigantic radius, and we've got the Umbra mods because I already had an Umbra form on Grendel, and I don't want to be changing this out, to be honest. So Umbra Fiber, Umbra Intensify, Umbra Vitality. If you are for some reason not using the dog that we're using in this video to be invisible, this will make it where you can run this in basically any mission. You'll be very tanky. Now, if you are going to run this with no stealth, I'd recommend you taking off both Augmented or Energized for like Grace or Blessing or something like that to get a little bit more tanky, because we've got about 3,600 health and 1,100 armor, which is pretty good, but yeah, sometimes you're getting really hammered by like every enemy in the room. It could be a little bit more dangerous. Prime Floating gives a bunch of extra energy. We can cast these abilities quickly. Only 50 energy for this and 78.5 energy for that, but yeah, we also have Nourish too, but for me, I want to run Energize. You could definitely take this off for other things too. Another option is Arcane Battery, giving you like 300 energy because you have so much armor, but to me, I don't want to run that personally. So yeah, there's definitely flexibility on this build. There's not really like concrete needed mods besides big range and the augment, basically. Since we have a crazy dog equipped that makes us invisible, we've got Mecha Empowered, making the dog mark enemies more often. That AoE that the dog marks will be a 30-meter AoE that goes through walls. And I can spread our toxin and gas procs through the wall as well. It's pretty nice. Prime Sure-Footed, if we ever get shot at, we won't get knocked over. That's great. And Mecha Pulse. I kind of want this maxed out, but don't have the mod capacity right now. Killing an enemy marked by the dog will give you extra armor. Who cares about that because it's level 0. Companion marks an enemy quicker because the set bonus is maxed out with his mod equip. If you had this thing maxed out, it would be a ton of armor for Grendel. But yeah, I'd have to put another Umbra form on there to make that work probably. It's like 60% armor per kill, per enemy in a radius, which is crazy strong. You get like thousands of armor. Alright, for the dog stat stick, we got the Perish Prime Incarnon with the maximum status evos. And it's a dog stat stick build. As much status chance and crit chance as you can get. And that's just, the dog will basically take the stats from the primary and just go crazy with it. So, you also got Hunter Track. Companions deal more damage to enemies affected by slash procs. Since our dog is purely slash and heat, this is just basically free damage for the dog. If you had any more mod space, you could put other Hunter mods too, but yeah. You could technically put a Hunter munitions if you wanted to. For the Grimoire, it's not really used in this, but you can use it. Because the Zata Invocation and Volume Invocation are pretty good for Grendel. So Volume Invocation gives you extra power strength, basically 60% free power strength for using this ability. Zata Invocation gives you a big burst of energy. If you don't want to run Energize or Prime Flow or whatever, this would probably be something you have to run or want to run, because it gives you a bunch of energy which multiplies with Nourish. But yeah, the thing about this is whenever we use the Grimoire, we lose our invisibility. So any weapon you're using on this build is actually anti-synergy, to be fair, or to be honest. So I wouldn't recommend the Grimoire or anything else besides the Perish Prime for a dog stat stick, but you could if you wanted to. And the Ruvox, I'm still experimenting with this, but someone was trying to tell me that the status vulnerability of Vulnerability Serum does work with Grendel's Regurgitate to make even more gas procs and toxin procs, but I haven't tested enough to say it one way or the other. I'm still testing it, so if it does work, that sounds great. But again, any weapon is making this build worse, so yeah, use it at your own risk. We've got Zenorek Focus Tree to give some extra energy regen, although it's not really used in this at all, to be fair. Okay, we also got the Huras Kubrow. This is one of the stars of the show right here. He's the invisible dog, so he can make you invisible as long as you're not using a gun to kill enemies or shooting or meleeing or anything like that. He will keep you invisible while you're casting abilities. So on ability DPS frames like Grendel, Gara, Garuda, like any ability focused frame that does not need to use guns can stay permanent invisible with this guy. So the way you're gonna do that, you're gonna use the stalk ability. The Kubrow will cloak the enemy cloak the master and itself with enemies within 24 meters. It will stay invisible while you're invisible, so that's great. We've also got the dog illusion of Duplex Bond, making it where it can just get a bunch of extra orbs for us and just kill a bunch of extra enemies. Contagious Bond makes the dog AoE, and Mecha Recharge makes the dog AoE as well, so that's great. With a combination of Calculated Redirection, Mecha Recharge, Hasten Deflection, we have constant energy, constant shield regen for the dog, basically, and a large shield capacity, making the shield gating 2.5 seconds, which is the longest shield gate you can get. And if the dog ever does die, we have Momentous Bond to bring it back from the dead for killing like one Eximus, basically. And we got Tenacious Bond to give ourselves more crit damage. You actually don't need that. You don't actually need this on this build because we're not using our weapons. So you can actually take this off for anything else. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. If I want to use it on anybody else besides Grendel, I want to have this equipped. So I'm going to leave it on there for now. Resourceful Retriever gives you double Steel Essence, which is quite nice. Now, the Huras Claws are extremely strong for DPS. If you look at the base stats of the Huras Claws, they've got 20% crit chance, 3.5 multiplier, and 350 slash damage. Only a 5% status chance, though. So if we patch up that status chance, we have some extremely powerful hybrid stat claws. When I put all the mods on there, and my stat stick and all that, 163% critical chance, 11.2 multiplier, 352% status chance, and only slash and heat. So this thing is nasty. This thing does more damage than I do to Demolyst specifically. So the way we're going to achieve all this crazy damage, we got Mecha Overdrive linking to our primary, and Hunter Synergy linking to our primary too. If you were to take this off, it would be a lot less crit. The UI's bugs, so I won't even show it, but yeah. Immunity resistance, since we're only on DOTs, this would be great. And the reason I'm using Burning Claws over like Sepsis Claws or other claw mods, Fire procs actually provide armor strip in this game. And the other mods like Sepsis, or like Chilling Claws, that's no armor strip. Sepsis Claws, Toxin procs don't provide any armor strip. Shocking Claws has a little bit of AoE to it, but yeah, no armor strip. So if the dog is solo fighting an enemy, Burning Claws is the best. If you're fighting a Corpus, Sepsis Claws is the best. And the rest of them, they're to preference for sure. So yeah, Burning Claws is overall the best claw elemental mod here. It gives you a bunch of fire damage and a bunch of status chance, but it makes all your elementals into fire only, unfortunately. So not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and show how this doggo can take care of some enemies here. And to get some dog illusions out, it's going to require me to spend some energy. So let's go ahead and spend some energy over here. So I'll cast Roar, get Buck that Roar buff. So to get Duplex Bond illusions, you must actually spam some energy. So let's get a couple Regurgitates out there. Alright, so now we have some dog illusions. Let's just go ahead and see the dog illusions after these heavy gunners. Okay, so right there you see, They are basically... Where'd that gas proc come from? I guess the bouncy... Okay, that's a pretty big AoE on those gas procs. Wow. The bouncing of the Regurgitate actually got all the way over here. So yeah, the AoE is pretty nuts sometimes with these Regurgitate attacks. So... Alright, let's see the dog actually in action here. 27 heat procs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And they're all dead. And they're all dead. That's kind of the idea of this loadout, is that enemies in gigantic AoEs just randomly die. It's like, okay, yeah, that seemed like it was something that... I think I deserved that AoE kill there. That's pretty much the idea of this build, guys. So, Nourish, Roar, we're invisible. It will not break invis unless you shoot a gun. And they're dead. There's really not a whole lot to this besides just eat, barf, repeat. Eat, barf, repeat. The Pumpkin King Grendel tells you to use this build, and you should use this build in survivals. Alright, guys? Hope you found this video fun, helpful. Go out and get those Grendel gas procs out there. It's nice to finally have a gas damage AoE frame in WARFRAME, because we didn't really have one before. And yeah, it's just really, really good. So, hope you found this video fun, helpful. I'll see you next time. Let me know if you have used the Ruvox with Grendel, if you have any success with it. I'm kind of worried to see. Like, it sounds like it would be super strong. Enemies impaled by the Ruvox have increased vulnerability to status chance. I don't really like the Ruvox, but people keep telling me to use it, so I'm going to try it out some more. Maybe we'll have a Ruvox video in the future, too. So, take it easy, guys. Peace!